Good afternoon. We're waiting a few minutes for folks to come on in.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. We want to welcome you to the July virtual monthly luncheon of the Covington Business Council. I'm CBC Executive Director Pat Frew. We first want to thank our sponsors for this month's luncheon, our 2020 title sponsor, St. Elizabeth Healthcare, which is working to make Northern Kentucky the healthiest region in the nation. And this month's sponsor is DBL Law, XL Title Services, XL Exchanges. More in a bit from Patrick Hughes, a DBL partner, real estate practice group leader, and manager of the aforementioned XL Title Services. Patrick will introduce our panel shortly, talking about the tremendous growth in Covington this year, much of it after the coronavirus outbreak began. Some brief announcements before we get into our program and some of the other elements of our hour together today. We still have room if you'd like to join us tonight at 4:30 at Smoke Justice. We'll be having socials after work in small allotments of people. We would appreciate it if you would sign up at the CBC website so we know how to arrange people. You may have seen a few days ago that the CBC issued a statement of support for Governor Beshear's face mask mandate. We want to ensure the safety of businesses and patrons in the coming weeks, and we want to take these precautions so businesses will not be forced to shutter. Also, you can see on the screen, we have a couple of other things coming up. July 23rd at 4 o'clock. We'll be having, we'll call it a hard hat tour. It's not really a hard hat tour. The building is finished, but Madison Place Apartments, followed by an after hours nearby. We were supposed to go in there several months ago, but we're unable to for obvious reasons. So that's why we're still calling it a hard hat tour. Some other things, we'll have a webinar coming up August 5th. One of our board members, Mary Willenborg, who has spoken at our luncheons in the past, she's going to update your business model to reflect 2020 business realities. So you'll want to tune in for that. That, of course, is free of charge. Also, speaking about hard hat earlier, our August hard hat tour will be August 6th at the Wenzel Building, followed by a social at the Globe. And then we'll be having our virtual nonprofit lunch and learn on August 18th. That will again be virtual, and we'll be talking about nonprofits and how folks can help to identify programs that reinforce the operations of those groups. So you'll want to tune in for that. We want to recognize our member spotlight this month. That is HR Elements. HR Elements is a full-service human resources firm supporting private businesses and nonprofits in the Northern Kentucky community. Their goal is to be a business partner who helps identify and build programs that reinforce financial and operational success through employee performance. Among their clients are Northern Kentucky Community Action Commission, New Riff Distilling, and Woodhouse Day Spa. HR Elements seeks to build a meaningful network of partners and advisors you can trust and offer experienced, certified HR advisors available to provide on-site assistance when you need it most. I just want to say personally that Tina Taylor, the owner of HR Elements, she and her staff were an invaluable partner to CBC in the early days of the pandemic, offering technical assistance, speakers, and topics that they knew our members desired, allowing us to provide vital and meaningful content at a time when companies were really grasping for answers. And CBC was just one example of companies that HR Elements assisted in this fashion. The company relocated to Covington from Blue Ash in 2018 to build a closer relationship to the Northern Kentucky community and to the organizations that it supports in its charitable efforts, such as groups like Kindness Lens Project and Brighton Center. So I want to thank them again and join me in offering them a heartfelt salute. Tina Taylor and her team at HR Elements, our CBC Member Spotlight of the Month. And now to a man that's becoming very popular on these luncheons, whether virtual or in person. Tom West, Economic Development Director for Covington, is here to talk about some of the development and tools the city is providing to keep the growth strong in Northern Kentucky's largest city. Tom, welcome.
Thanks, Pat, and thanks everyone for attending today. I asked Christine earlier how many folks we had, and the number was over 100, so that's fantastic. You guys have really adapted well, Pat. Just by way of a fairly quick update, I always take more time than Pat likes for me to, but there's a lot to talk about, which is good, you know, during these times. But obviously the big news in town over the last week or so was the mayor's news conference last week about Covington Connect, and that's an expansion of the free public Wi-Fi system into a lot of the underserved neighborhoods throughout the city. We saw during when the school shut down how important it was for students to be and others to be able to connect virtually and through the use of technology. And the other thing that was really exciting about that, we've got a big panel coming up of a lot of companies that have made the decision to come to Covington. There was a partnership there with two companies that just announced in Latonia as part of the CovTech group. That was a Blair Technology Group and Regadget have formed a partnership, and they're going to be providing free hardware to go along with the free Wi-Fi to needy students in Covington. So we're real excited. They're just moving in and they're already investing in the community. I know Pat and I've talked, and I think he's going to try to get those two companies onto one of these luncheons at some point. That Wi-Fi project was inspired by the free Wi-Fi project that Cincinnati Bell has with Renaissance Covington. It's already lighted up downtown in the Roebling Point area. And so that kind of leads me to the other thing that we've done recently, and that is a new contract with Renaissance Covington that has them expanding that Wi-Fi into the Mainstrasse area, the MLK corridor, and Riddy's Corner. So they're going to focus on the business districts, and then the Covington Connect group is going to focus on the residential areas. The contract with Renaissance, we're really excited because this year they're going to be focused on finding a new permanent home for a year-round public market in Covington. They're going to assist our group with tracking the ground floor commercial space that's out there in the core area, and continuing to develop public art and placemaking opportunities around town. This past Tuesday night, you know, in the vein of some new news, we introduced to the commission some proposed changes to our payroll tax incentive ordinance. These changes are designed to make sure that the Cov stays competitive to companies like those that are on today's panel, and I think we've worked with just about every one of them So we want to make sure we can still attract folks like that while we're also getting a fair return on investment for the citizens of Covington. The other big news that's out there is that after a year and a half and after 17 public engagement opportunities, we have submitted the draft of the Neighborhood Development Code, formerly known as zoning, to the Kent County Planning Commission for their review and recommendation. We're still hopeful that this will be adopted before the end of the year. And I think there's 4 big things that does. And these are the 4 things to really know about the new code. Number 1, we want it to be more user-friendly. I'm not sure it would have been possible for it to be less user-friendly than the old one, but we think we've achieved more user-friendliness. Cut red tape and save time and money. One of the big ideas in there is to get rid of the Board of Adjustment and get rid of the Urban Design Review Board and combine them into one. So instead of ping-ponging people back and forth between boards, you go to one board one time and get the decision made right then and there. The third thing is to make it easier to build what we all love and appreciate about the Cov. So people who are doing the right thing, we want to make it easier for them to be able to do that. And then 4th, to really celebrate the diversity of our neighborhoods and what makes them unique, and to build off of that and not try to be a one-size-fits-all for the entire city. So those are the 4 big things to remember about that. So finally, and Pat's sighing relief now, for a few months, I kept teasing you guys about the big announcement we were going to have in Latonia, which was the CovTech project at the Latonia Shopping Center. So this month, in the category of, if I told you I would have to shoot you, I'm going to say that next month, we're anticipating a really big development announcement on the east side of Covington. So we're trying to hit good projects in all parts of town. And so look for something big coming next month on the east side. So I'm done now, Pat. Thank you. And thanks, everyone.
Actually, I wanted you to mention one more thing that I'm excited about. We mentioned before, Tom, that we're going to Smoke Justice Night, and the city, through the great work of Josh Rhodes and the rest of the economic development staff, has found a way to open up more of the street to allow more outdoor parking for our restaurants, which is critical, as it's evident that we're not out of this yet with COVID-19. And I think much applause to the city for doing that as well.
Absolutely. City Manager Johnston, Mayor Meyer, and Josh have really put the work in, the 3 of them, to be able to make this happen. Obviously, we have to balance the interests of all businesses, residents, with the interest of also trying to keep our restaurants alive and give them the best opportunity possible to come out of this on the other end, still being around. So I would echo what Pat said earlier, only I'll just say it a little more bluntly. We have to keep our businesses open. We have to have them at the end of this thing. So just wear the freaking mask.
Yeah. Okay, well put. Tom, thank you. Great work by you and the city staff and the elected officials, and we appreciate all you do. Good stuff. So now it's on to our program. I want to introduce DBL partner Patrick Hughes, a great friend to CBC. He's here to tell us a little bit more about the firm and why they're sponsoring today's luncheon, and then he'll briefly introduce our panelists. So Patrick, welcome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Tom. I'm Patrick Hughes with DBL Law. I also oversee our title company, Excel Title, and work closely with the attorneys and tax professionals at Excel Exchanges, where we facilitate 1031 exchanges as well as qualified opportunity zone investments. I've been lucky enough to be part of the DBL team and family since 1997. We're a full-service law firm, and we can serve all of your legal needs in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. We have offices in downtown Cincinnati, in Louisville, and presently in Crestview Hills. And I won't steal my managing partner's thunder here, but word is we're moving to Covington, and we couldn't be more excited. I do a lot of economic development work and real estate work, and I do want to give a special thanks to Tom West, Mayor Meyer, Ken Smith. The whole team at the city of Covington has just been doing amazing work, being totally responsive to the needs of citizens and businesses. And, a lot of what we're seeing is a result of that partnership with the city officials. That has led to incredible growth and opportunity in Covington to the tune of $66 million in construction projects, more than 1,000 jobs being added. And we're lucky to have some of those job creators and folks that are leading the construction projects with us today. So as I mentioned, my colleague and friend, the managing partner of DBL Law, Bob Hoffer, is going to talk about our move to Covington and the renovation of a historic building on 4th Street. We also have Kevin Sheehan of Hilltop Basic Resources. He's the CEO there. This is a huge deal for the city of Covington to have Hilltop coming into Covington. Couldn't be more excited. One of our region's most reputable companies in the aggregate business, and it's going to be really exciting to hear what he says. We also have Tom Flessor, the COO of Gentis Solutions. It's an IT recruitment firm, and why they're moving their headquarters here from central Pennsylvania, another exciting development. And then finally, but not least, Ed Walton, the CEO of Step CG. It's a technology engineering firm, and he's going to tell us why Covington's the right place to be for those creative type firms that are really taking us into the next century. So thank you all for being with us. I'm going to hand it over to Bob Hoffer now.
Thanks, Patrick, very much. I really appreciate Pat, Drew, and Christine and their team putting this together today. I'm Bob Hoffer, the managing partner with DBL Law. I've been with DBL my entire career, beginning in 1980. The reason I mention that is that when I began my career, DBL had one location. It was at 219 Garrett Street in Covington. And in 1983, we moved to Crestview Hills and added several buildings over time. We are now at the point at the Crestview Hills location, we're out of space. So about 2 or more years ago, we hired a consulting firm to really help us vet what was the right decision, long-term and short-term, for DBL and our existing clients, and also what would be best for the growth of the law firm from a business standpoint, but also from an attraction of talent standpoint. We looked at a number of different locations in Covington and elsewhere. We considered staying where we were in Crestview Hills and building a new building there. And at the end of the day, the recommendation of the consultant, but also the consensus of all the partners at DBL, was that we want to go to Covington. And specifically, we want to go to the Monarch building. It's directly across the street on 4th Street from Molly Malone's. That may become dangerous for us at some point. But the building was originally built back in 1903, I believe, as a citizens telephone building. There's an empty lot next to it. That building traditionally has been known as the Monarch Tool Company, and it has sat vacant for over 20 years. One of our dear friends and clients, Al Hanley, as a developer, has developed some really terrific projects in Covington. He owns the building and the empty lot, and we partnered with him for him to design and build a kind of the state-of-the-art building. The existing building will remain in place. We'll add a couple floors to that building and then attach a brand new building to the historical building. The look will be very similar to the how the Kenton County Bavarian project turned out. We'll have on-site parking as well as parking off-site. We'll be moving close to 80 employees from our Crestview Hills site to the Monarch building. And we anticipate that we should be in that building in the fall of 2021. A lot of people say to me, why are you going to Covington? You've been in the suburbs for, since 1983. When we look at the vibrancy that is in Covington right now, and when I see major businesses like CTI, and we spoke to our friends at CTI about what their experience has been and why they chose Covington. And then we also look at our existing client base who have a large presence in Covington. St. Elizabeth Healthcare, and Garen Colvin and his team have invested heavily in Covington. Huntington Bank's headquarters in Covington. So is Tom Shepard and his team at Republic Bank. First Financial is coming to Covington. It's kind of an avalanche of everyone wants to be there, and we do too. We really enjoy everything that's being developed right now there. And I hearken back to the days when I started in Covington. I used to love it after work running the bridges, and I look forward to returning to that tradition when we move to Covington. All of our employees are excited about the opportunity, the freshness, the ability for us to attract new clients and also new staff. So we're excited. We're all in. I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Sheehan at Hilltop.
Thank you, Bob, and good afternoon, everyone. As said earlier, I'm Kevin Sheehan, president of Hilltop Basic Resources. Hilltop, many of you know us, but we're a 79-year-old company founded in 1941 in Cincinnati, Ohio. We have approximately 240 employees, and we are in the sand, gravel, and limestone mining business with 3 mines in the Ohio Valley region. And 4 distribution terminals, one in northern Kentucky and in Constance, Kentucky, one across the river in downtown Cincinnati, and one up on the east side of Cincinnati, and then one up in Maysville. We also have 3 ready-mix operations. Our newest ready-mix operations, as a matter of fact, is on Mineola Pike, up near the airport. We put it in about a year and a half ago, and in fact, Bob's firm and Patrick were part of that process, which we purchased the property, and XL Title was involved in that. So we thank you for the help on that. As I said, we're a 79-year-old company, and we found ourselves in a situation where our building here in downtown Cincinnati, again, we've been headquartered here since our founding, is being converted into luxury apartments. So we did a search on both sides of the river. And I can tell you that we were met with nothing but welcoming arms from everybody we dealt with in Covington and in northern Kentucky. And certainly Tom was part of that process, as was his entire team. The mayor was also helpful. And the Triad group, Lee and Kimberly, were certainly very helpful as well. We looked, as I said, on both sides of the river. And while I thought I might get some pushback because we've been headquartered here in Cincinnati our entire corporate life, I think I can safely say that the owner and our employees are very excited about going across the river to Covington. It may not seem like it certainly isn't much from a physical distance, but in terms of the mental distance, sometimes it can be appear to be pretty challenging. But as Bob said, the vibrancy over in Covington and all of the developments there, which I personally have witnessed as I am a Northern Kentucky resident, and have spent a good deal of time walking through, running through, or eating in establishments in Covington. So in a nutshell, we're really looking forward to being over there. We plan to be there around the end of August is the current projection. We're moving into River Center, and that office will basically house our C-suite as well as our accounting, finance, human resources, and IT group of about 20 people. So again, thanks to all those who helped make this possible, and we're really looking forward to being over there in the very near future. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom Flessor at Gentis Solutions. Tom?
Everyone, I wish we were meeting in person instead of virtually, but this will have to do. I'm still sporting my COVID beard that my wife hopes will go away one of these days, maybe by Christmas. We are really excited about being in Covington. We moved into the River Center complex June 1st. And from day one, it's been hectic. All the connections we've made through the help of the Covington Council, the Chamber of Commerce, the representatives from the state and the city, everyone has just been so welcoming, and it's just turned our business into an accelerated mode that we were not expecting this quickly. What we do, if you're not familiar with Gentis, is we're probably the new kids on the block compared to some of the others you're hearing from today. This is our 5th year in business, and we are in the business of helping client firms build their teams quickly and productively without the traditional use of things like resumes. We have found that hiring managers tend to get 20, 30, 40 paper resumes for a position they're trying to fill, and after a while they all look the same. And in many cases, professional resume writers put those together, not the individuals you're looking to bring on your team. What we've done instead is use video tools to record the candidates speaking in their own words about their experience and how it would apply to a role that's looking to be filled. And a hiring manager can quickly view responses to a handful of questions in a couple of minutes and say, hey, that person sounds like someone I'd like on my team. I think they'd be a good fit personality-wise. Let's bring them in for either a virtual call, if it has to be, or in person. But it really is a competitive advantage to us to be able to offer that service, as well as some of our other video services where we have clients, one very large one that uses our video process only as the sole means of selecting candidates. We process the video link from a candidate's phone. They turn it into our editing group for processing, and we submit them to the client company, who then just picks from the best ones and says, okay, those 4 can start on Monday. And if you're in a high turnover situation with, say, in a fast food business or manufacturing or warehousing, where you tend to see a lot of turnover in hourly ranks, services like that could be very helpful to you in saving time on your hiring managers so that they're not, again, processing paper and phone calls for some of the entry-level positions. We also offer training programs to our clients where we can develop certified skills in the IT arena, which is probably our strongest suit. And those kind of training programs are customized to each client's needs. We have a wide array of offerings that are available. But check out our website if you get a chance. We're at gentisolutions.com. You'll see some more of our video processes and how they work. But again, we're so excited to be in Covington, in the River Center, and it's just been a great experience so far, and we're looking forward to more to come. Thank you.
Okay, I think Ed is next. Ed, welcome.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me okay. Tom, that's a great COVID beard. I had a COVID beard, and my kids said, shave it down to a COVID mustache. And then after I did that, they said, boy, you look like Andy Reid.
I thought that yesterday.
Now, I've got some Packer, fans in the house, and, we were hoping last year the Chiefs would make the Packers, but the Packers didn't quite get there. But no, I appreciate you having me on, Pat, and good to be on with this panel, and certainly met, and had some fun. Tom's great. And I just have to say, we went through a journey. FCG is we're a technology firm. We're a fast growing infrastructure, if you will. We're traditional wireline, wireless, but we also are experts in LTE cellular technologies. And we're seeing a lot of exciting and innovative stuff going on around combining these technologies to solve things that, COVID is sort of highlighting, things like in-home student broadband, community broadband, shared services, healthcare testing, public safety, take your pick. Broadband really is the fourth utility. And we're excited to help bring some ideas and innovation around how you solve some of the problems folks are solving for, certainly in these times, but even without COVID-19. So we went through a journey last year around September timeframe. We're growing. We just went from about 44 folks. I think we added 17 the first half of this year. So the business is strong, and our core businesses are government, education, and medical essential services. What we were looking at, we knew we were growing rapidly, and we were in the 525 building on 5th Street in Covington. And we said, we're gonna go through a period of rapid expansion here. Where should we be? So we looked upriver, downriver, across the river, met with a lot of folks, toured a lot of properties. And I got to say, to one of the earlier panelists, Triad was great, Lee and Kimberly, certainly Tom, Dan Taberky at Graydon, and Tori Sunderman at Cushman, Wakefield, and helping us kind of, sort through what all the different options were. At the end of the day, we chose Covington for a number of reasons. And I really think it's around, the people that are on this call, everybody, that we met, interacted with, the community, the willingness to work with and support small businesses. We just felt a certain vibe. It's a cool vibe. And at STEP, we just opened our innovation center on the 9th floor of the River Center, and certainly invite everyone when it makes sense to come through. That's what we say, that's where we brainstorm and innovation happens. We explore what's possible. We even put a bourbon bar in there, and we're having a little fun with it. But it's really a great setting to bring people through and make an impact. But even more importantly, I think just the overall community, the business climate, what's happening. We draw on a lot of talent locally. And quite honestly, we've got folks right now engaged in conversations, leveraging the Innovation Center for conversations about what's next, emerging technology and healthcare and education, government, esports, take your pick, analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and we do training out of there as well. And for us, it was just, the mix of a lot of different things and the willingness to work with us. We just thought Covington was the right fit, right vibe, and quite honestly is moving fast. I mean, they're making things happen. So we're enjoying the relationship. We look forward to continuing to invest in the local community, to interacting in the local community, and certainly having a conversation with a lot of folks on this call. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Ed. I want to get into questions, and a reminder, if you as an audience member have a question, you can submit it in the chat box down below, and we have a few of those. Some of you addressed this, so I'm going to tweak a question that Tom Tilmas asked about what brings you to Covington. Some of you addressed that, so I was going to go down through the list of Bob, Kevin, Tom, and Ed, starting with Bob. And not to put you on the spot, but was there one poignant moment where, Bob, you said, this is it, this is meant to be? Was there something that happened, no matter how innocuous or small it might have seemed? And I'm going to ask all of you that question, if there was one time when the light bulb came on and said, this is where we're supposed to be. Because I know in your office, Bob, there were a lot of differing thoughts of where you should be and what you should do. So let's start with you.
Thanks, Pat. There was kind of different approaches by all the partners in trying to get consensus among 26 partners. Was challenging, but it was actually very informational, because I think what everyone wanted was what's going to be best for our clients, short-term and long-term, and what's going to be best for us to attract new talent. When we took a tour of the Monarch building and heard about all the things that were in place that were going to be happening in the next year or two, that was significant to all of us. And then speaking to our clients who already had locations in Covington, Tom Salinger and his team, Huntington Bank, the Diocese of Covington, St. Elizabeth, and all the nonprofits that we're involved with already in Covington, Welcome House, Life Learning Center, Learning Grove. We felt like it is really going to give us the opportunity to really become engaged in the community, much more than we already are. And that's important to us. It's one of the things we challenge each of our employees, find what your passion is, and then get involved in that passion in the community. And we just see that the opportunity there in Covington is so great for us. We really have never had any type of mentor relationship with the Covington School Board, Covington Schools, and we've initiated that discussion already, and we'll be doing that. So it really kind of allows us to not just practice law and be business partners with our clients, but really to give back to the community, which is really important to who we are.
Yeah, I know that Nancy Spivey, your marketing director, has been communicating with me for several months about, we're coming down here, but we're not waiting until we get here to get more engaged in the community. And I think that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. Kevin, how about you?
So we actually had a team of individuals involved in our search, which I was one of 5. I think the biggest difference was the extent to which we actually felt very welcomed over in Covington. And I mean that across the board from everybody we dealt with, including, which I meant to mention earlier, Corporex, Tom Banta and his team. There was clearly a strong desire to see us and welcome us into Northern Kentucky. Now, 2 of us on the team are Northern Kentucky residents, so we know what it's like over there. And have spent a good deal of time, but the other members of the team had not. And I would say it was that going through that process, and when we sat down and looked at all of our options, I think it was it was a unanimous decision that this just felt like the right place for us to be and having our new home. The other thing that is really unique about our situation is our materials. We specialize in large commercial industrial projects in our ready-mix business. So the fact that we're in River Center, where our concrete was used to build the facility, as well as our aggregate went into, and right across the street from the Ascent, again, another large project. And then finally, the ability to look across the river and see many of the buildings that we built here in Cincinnati. The aesthetics of the site also very much played a role in our decision.
Yeah, now, Tom, you're a little different. You're the new kid on the block. Everybody else is kind of here already. One of the things I had heard about your company is part of the thing that brought you to this region was you were placing a lot of people in this area. So it kind of made sense to look at this as a destination if you were going to move from Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. Probably 80% of our current customer base is in the Cincinnati area. Several of our employees, while we were in Pennsylvania, have been working remotely from their homes in both the Cincinnati area and in the Northern Kentucky area. And when we looked at the options, Covington just seemed to be the best choice for a number of reasons. We were attracted immediately to the River Center tower. It's a gorgeous building with a view of the Cincinnati skyline, which if you're on the Ohio side of the river, you don't have quite the same view looking over. I mean, it's a very dramatic view, especially at night. Parking is not an issue for us compared to if you go downtown even for lunch in Cincinnati, it's a hassle just to park. And we wanted to make it convenient for our employees. So getting to and from the office is not going to be a hassle. We've already had customers stop by to see us where they probably would have thought twice if, again, they had to deal with the downtown Cincinnati issues. And it's just a more open, welcoming feel. I mean, we've got everything within pretty much walking distance of our office. And I know you're going on a tour of Madison Place. That's where I happen to have an apartment. So I go 200 yards from home to work each day. It's pretty nice. And I just can't see how we could have done better anywhere else. It's been a great move for us, and we wish we had even done it sooner.
Wonderful. Ed, I know you kind of got into some of the reasons, but anything else, or was there one poignant moment where you knew this is where we need to be here in Covington?
You know, like the others, we had a team of folks evaluating. We looked, again, all around. Corporex folks were great. We toured the River Center property, and where we are now, like Tom said, I don't know if you can get a better view. I mean, it's flat out really cool. So the team unanimously, you know, and we toured a lot of properties, and we looked at every community, and we do business, you know, strong throughout the Midwest down to Florida is one of our biggest markets. We do all of a lot of the department's transportation revenue, the whole city of Miami, Jacksonville, largest school districts. You know, we're looking, you know, even possibly where should we be? Where's the business? And the business, you know, our core business, a lot of it, the heritage is we've done business for a long time with Commonwealth of Kentucky, state agencies, the schools, a lot of the healthcare, a lot of the airport and so forth. So, you know, a lot of our core business and our heritage and our legacy is here, but we wanted to look outside just to see, you know, what was there and what the options are. And it all came back down to Covington for those reasons: community, culture, and really the people. I mean, it's just, you know, in the vibe, it's got a cool vibe to it. I think it's got an up and coming vibe. We got basically a PhD think tank of, we call our engineers mutants, class 5 mutants. And just to hear the stuff that they're exploring with customers, it's like Silicon Valley in innovation happening right here in Northern Kentucky. So we add in some bourbon there that helps with the brainstorming and innovation part, but it's part of the culture. It's authentic. So the other part was I met Norm Damaris. Norm's helping us out with some advisory board capacity, and he's on the first floor of the building. And Norm just started, you know, he was a big believer in what he's done with Tier 1. And quite honestly, I just tried to keep up with all the doors Norm was opening. It was like, well, call this guy. I mean, it was just a whirlwind. So it started to meet a lot more people in the community. Obviously met Tom and so forth. And when you get to meet the people, I think that's what sets it apart. So we're big believers in community and big believers in where Covington's going.
Great. I'm going to go in backwards order that we have been going, so we'll start with that on this question. One of the questions posed from Nancy was, what other areas did you look at for possible homes specifically? Was it just near downtown on the Cincinnati side? Did you look on a suburban basis too? Or if you can get into that, then we'll pass it around to the others for that question as well. So Ed.
Initially, we looked, you know, do we stay in Northern Kentucky? Do we go to Lexington? Do we go to across the river, Cincinnati? Do we go up the river, down the river, possibly even Indiana? We kind of narrowed down, you know, the possibilities. We did look at even out of state, what made sense potentially given, you know, some of the business that's accelerating elsewhere. And quite honestly, got down to mainly, you know, across the river in Northern Kentucky, the various communities, and then we honed in on Covington and saying, you know what, this makes sense just to stay home, build and grow here.
Yeah, Tom, what other areas did you look? Tom, can you take you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
We did consider a few properties in downtown Cincinnati, and also a couple in the Blue Ash area where we have a number of our consultants working. But again, we like the feel of the Covington area. We weren't even aware of all the history and everything else that we've come to learn about since we've arrived. But we've got everything we need in a pretty compact area, and it's a great feel. We really didn't give Cincinnati much of a second look after we found the kind of opportunities in Covington, and we're happy exactly where we are.
Great. Kevin?
Yes, we looked, well, we knew we wanted to be centrally located as we are now. because we have folks working in our corporate office on both sides of the river, from both sides of the river. And so we were pretty narrow in our focus from over the Rhine down to Covington, Newport, was about as far as we extended. And we did evaluate properties, as I said earlier, on both sides of the river. But for the reasons mentioned earlier, Covington and River Center is the one that worked for us for, again, for the reasons that I mentioned earlier.
Bob?
We actually looked at a number of locations in Northern Kentucky. We have currently have an office in Atrium in Cincinnati, and we'll maintain that as well as our Louisville office, but felt like we wanted to have a Northern Kentucky office as well. So we looked at our current site in Crestview Hills, tearing those buildings down and building a brand new building with additional space. We looked at probably 5 areas in Covington. We considered Newport. It really came down to, the decision came down to, first and foremost, the consensus was everyone wanted to go to Covington. And I can tell you, and the other people have mentioned this, is Tom West and Mayor Joe Meyer and the commission were wonderful to deal with, as was Judge Knuckleman and the county commissioners. And finally, I want to mention this as well. The school board was very embracing to us about, what opportunities would be there for us to really try to make a difference in the community. All of those things led us to Covington, and the Monarch building stood out for us because we have a relationship with Al Hanley, and we saw some of the remarkable other sites that he had developed in Covington that really had that awesome vibe to it, kind of cutting edge, and that's really what drew us there.
Yeah, and you all are obviously very high on Covington, and that's wonderful, and we appreciate that. Many of the small businesses that are sitting in on the call, one of the questions was, how can we work together? How can we continue to support you and all the positive momentum here? And I'll just throw that out to anybody if anybody's got a response to that.
I would say that the best thing to do is, whether it's virtual or in person, is to start connecting with each other so we learn about what each other's business does and find ways to help each other. We could become, in a lot of cases, you could become customers of each other, not just a one-way situation. And that's where getting to know each other better is the best way to make that happen.
I would echo Tom's thoughts. In fact, I know that I've already received some LinkedIn and email messages from some who are on this call. I do look forward to the day when we can actually meet in person and do more networking. But and just being a part of this group seems like a pretty good way to get started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll offer up something as well. And so when we built the Innovation Center, it's a really cool experience. We also put a podcast studio in there, and several of the folks that are on this call, and it's certainly open to the community. We put it in for our employees to kind of explore whatever they want to explore. And we got all sorts of, they do podcasts on, beer, guitars, dogs, fish. I mean, stuff you never even imagine. But some of the folks in the business community also leverage it, for their purposes, to talk about things on like healthcare, esports, all sorts. So it's open. Reach out to me if you wanted to try doing a podcast and you want to come to our Innovation Center and try it. It's open to the community. So, we're scheduling folks in there doing it, but obviously with COVID-19, as it makes sense, but we are hosting people in there, and we just offer that up if folks want to explore it.
Pat, I agree. One of the things that we're excited about is we have in the new building, we'll have several open areas where we can host nonprofits and also community activities. And I welcome when we move in, because I welcome, all of our fellow business owners in Covington to come to a meet and greet with great views of Cincinnati from our 4th floor balconies. And, the other thing that I think that all of us can do is to look about in Covington to the nonprofits that help so many needy people, whether it be Welcome House or the Life Learning Center. I just think that all of us have a responsibility to try to find those nonprofits that, particularly right now, they're having a tough time and can use our help, not just financially, but just from a business standpoint, to allow them to continue to thrive. So that's the other challenge that I think I see as we move to Covington, is find, what nonprofits that we're not already involved in that we can become engaged in.
Yeah, and Kevin, you talked to people reaching out to you on LinkedIn. Another question we just received was, what's the best way to communicate with you? Is it email, call the office, LinkedIn?
For me, it's actually email. I know I can always access it, and sometimes the phone calls can sit there for a while. And so for me, it's actually email. I don't know if you have our email addresses out here.
I do, but go ahead and give it out, Kevin. That would be great.
K as in Kevin, Sheehan, SHEEHAN, at Hilltop Companies. And it's just as it sounds, HILLTOPCOMPANIES.com.
Okay, good. Bob and Ed, and then Tom, what's the best way to reach out to each of you?
Probably email or phone is best for me. Email is rhoffer, HOFFER, at dbllaw.com. My direct line, the office, 859-426-2105. I do frequent LinkedIn, so you can access me that way as well. But I agree with Kevin, either phone or email is probably the most prompt response that I can hook onto.
Yeah, Ed?
Yeah, hit me on LinkedIn and or emails ejwalton@stepcg.com, and cell phones 513-516-1838. Look forward to meeting y'all.
Yeah, I guess if you use bourbon in the subject line, that'll get your attention.
Yes, well, that actually, yes, that'll go right to the urgent button.
Okay, Tom?
Any of those work for me. Email's probably the easiest. It's tflessor, FLESSOR, at gentissolutions.com. And my cell is 813-789-2025. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. But hope to start connecting with many of you very soon.
Great. And just wrapping up here, let's go down the row, Bob, Kevin, Tom, and Ed. Any final thoughts, anything that you didn't cover that you wish you'd have said earlier, or any other parting thoughts, starting with you, Bob?
Not really. We're just excited. We can't wait till it happens. Our employees, Northern Kentucky office ask me constantly, where are we at? What's our time frame? We're actually going to probably break ground in late August. They're talking about putting me on a bulldozer with a hard hat, so that'll be very interesting. But we're just excited about the opportunity.
Great. Kevin, any final thoughts?
Well, I was actually sitting in my office this morning looking out the window, and I can see across the river, and I happened to see one of our ready mix concrete trucks over there pouring on what I'm sure is the Riverfront Commons with the trail and amphitheater, and how excited we are to be over there. And again, having been very welcomed by the community, we're looking forward to being an active part of the community in Covington.
Same here. Good to have you here. Tom?
No real additional thoughts other than let's connect and see how we can help each other. I look forward to it.
Ed?
Likewise, look forward to networking, meeting everyone, and our doors are open at the Innovation Center. Please stop by or reach out when you can. And thank you for letting us participate today.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Thank you all, Bob, Kevin, Tom, and Ed, a top panel today. And, it's exciting enough to have all this news and all the growth since it began, but seeing and hearing all of you and your passion for Covington, we're so elated and excited to have you as part of the community. Thank you for choosing Covington. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah. And we want to thank our sponsors again today, St. Elizabeth Healthcare and DBL Law. We want to join you for our next luncheon, hopefully in person, but we'll have to see how this goes. But Mr. Banta's name was mentioned earlier from Corporex. Tom Banta will present on Thursday, August 27th on the anxiously anticipated Ovation Project in Newport. We hope you can join us. Thanks again to our sponsors. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to log on to the call. Patrick, thank you for all your great help. That concludes today's program. Thank you for attending and have a great weekend.